Welcome to Clarity and Purpose. Our world is full of people who are overworked and overwhelmed. They lose focus on what matters, struggle to find a vision for the future, and lose time with those they love. We help businesses and their teams clearly understand their purpose and help them communicate more effectively.
I'm your host, James Thorne. I'm joined by my co-host, Jake Jordan. Hey, Jake.
Hello.
How are you, man?
I'm doing good. It was a fun episode today, talking to John. I have noticed that you seem to do a pretty good job of bringing really strong teammates on to the squad. We've got a strong squad here, so I'm just curious. Yeah, like what are you doing, man? How are you getting all these strong people to come work for Quirk?
I agree that we have a really strong group. I wouldn't say that I'm the best at hiring, but it does matter. And I do spend a lot of time thinking through some of the people that we bring on to our team. So, I'm a big proponent, like part of my vision and mission behind what we do is to build up families and build up a strong team of people that love working together.
Yep.
It doesn't always work out, but I would say, these past 2-3 years have been really solid. We've had some incredible people join the team. Mm-hmm. But I am in no way the best at doing this. And our guest that came on this week, he's the master, and he's got a lot of tools and things to help people do this the right way. So let's just introduce our guest like we do every week.
Today's guest is a principal at Snelling Hospitality. He's an award-winning talent management specialist who specializes in recognizing, recruiting, and retaining top talent for organizations. And launching this week is hirepeoplebetter.com. Let's get into our show with today's guest, John Carpenter. Hey, John. How's it going today, man?
Good. How you doing, Jake?
Good. Appreciate you being on the show.
Appreciate you.
Tell me a little bit about, you're in HR, basically. So tell us a little bit about what you do.
Yeah. So executive recruiting and consulting in HR. So basically, and this is exciting to be on here because starting next week, things are going in a different path to teach people how to hire people better. And so, for me, it's always been about that. It's always been about hiring the right people for the right fit. And I take that back 25 years when I first became a manager. I realized that was the time and the place to make an impact on the company.
Okay. When you say you realized that was the time, you mean like the hiring spot? Like when you hired?
Yeah, because, one of my first jobs when I became a manager at a grocery store was, hey, we need 5 people. And I sat down and I had spoken with the general manager of the building and said, okay, what's going on? Who do you think is the right fit? And then I went over and I talked to the HR manager, and then I went over and talked to the operations manager. And so I brought everybody's ideas in. And, honestly, it was like, okay, now I'll take their ideas. I'll go with my ideas and, see how we can do this.
Gotcha. So is that something you've always kind of been interested in is like human capital, I guess?
Absolutely. Because when I went, here's the funny part, right? I started my bachelor's degree in education, which to me is about human capital. You just start earlier, right?
Right.
And I dropped out of college to pursue a management position. And I worked in that field for 13 years. But about 5 years in, I decided I needed to go back to school. So I went back to school online, and that degree was actually in human resources and training. So I get to the very, very end of it, and I have to take the test to get the SHRM test. Uh-huh. And I failed by 2 points. You need 500 points. I got 498. Okay. So I was like, okay, I'm going to take it again. So I took it again, and I got a 499.
Oh,
like I'm not taking it again. I switched over to just business, and I had one more class to go for business, and I finished that up and moved on. So, okay. But it was the whole training aspect was in HR, right? Mm-hmm. And then when I went back to get my master's degree and my MBA, it was based in sports management, but human capital. And so it was based around, recruiting and training in the sports management field as opposed to sales or anything like that.
Okay, cool. So you've always kind of had like a thing for managing people, hiring people, bringing good people around.
People, like,
yeah.
When I go back on my family, I have a lot of teachers in my family, professors in my family. My grandfather was a Baptist minister for 50 years, and it was all about people. And then, of course, my mother, who I took this company over from, started recruiting people when I was 6 months old, and then did it for 42 years. And that's what I just knew growing up was people. So it was people. That's what it is.
Gotcha. So if you were to say John Carpenter's big why, like the big reason John's around here, like what would you say that is?
To positively affect people in one way or another, to be honest with you.
That's cool.
Because I don't even look at companies as a company. I look at it as the individuals that I'm helping fill the positions. I mean, I do take it as let's talk about your company, and then I talk about the company, but it is more about, getting the relationships built with multiple people in the industry and seeing how I can help them out.
Okay, cool. So when you decided, when you transitioned into helping out with your parents' business and doing that sort of stuff, how did you see that particular calling for you in this company?
Well, I was recruiting in basketball. So I was doing some international recruiting for basketball players to go overseas and play in Europe, making a lot of connections in the NBA and internationally with coaches in Turkey and stuff like that. And so it was just a natural thing to me to talk to just different people. And my parents knew I had that ability. I have of course it's my mom, but what she says is charisma, and everybody loves you and things like that. So it was more about, we sat down at dinner one night and she said, I'm going to consider retiring soon. We could sell the company, but we'd rather bring you on. And what do you think? And it got me out of retail for 19 years. Right. And it allowed me to do what I love, which is helping people. Now in retail, I could always help people. I met new people every day, but I wasn't affecting them as much outside of selling pillows, or something like that. So, and that was, Jake, that was my goal, right? Somebody says, what do you do? I said, I sell pillows in a plaza. That's really what I do. And now it's a little bit different, right? I help hire people better. So.
Wow. That's a pretty big switch over, because on a lot of levels. So when you transitioned into your parents' company, you left the pillows in a plaza. You got into more people capital, versus just transactions. What was that transition like for you?
I was afraid it was going to be hard, but it was actually really, really easy. The hardest part was getting on the phone every day, multiple times a day. And I was afraid of leaving the everyday life of meeting, 50 people a day to help them buy something. But then I realized real fast that I was just talking to 50 people on the phone every day and getting to know them a little bit more than I was getting to know the people I helped with, right? Yeah. And so it was really about finding out, the transition was hard just because I wasn't used to picking up the phone. But I found out that, for me, once I get the first phone call in the morning, 8:15 in the morning, it doesn't matter after that. It's just all, here we go. And you have your lists, and I want to get 10 of them done or 15 of them done, or I've got a calendar with 27 people on it today. I got to get through them all. And, it's, that was the hardest part, was just picking up the phone.
Yeah. Yeah. So
this aspect, right?
Yeah, right. Because I don't know if I believe anybody that says they love to pick up the phone and just call strangers. I get that there are people that are wired well to do it, but no one just wants to hey, you don't know me, but, nobody likes that conversation on either end of the phone, probably. And
the way I saw that is, when I was in retail, they came in to help. They needed help. They came in, they were there. It wasn't a hard sell. And, the one thing that I always carried over, whether it was grocery or big box retail, was features and benefits, right? And so in the sales world, just if I can give my clients features and benefits, or my candidates features and benefits of a job, it helps that sale. And so once I learned, and I always taught the people in my business that one of the biggest things you have to figure out is features and benefits. So you have to take an hour and a half, learn about the company, learn about the property here, recruiting for hotels, or the company we're recruiting for. find out the features and benefits, and then it's all piece of cake from that point.
All right, like a matching game.
Yeah.
Interesting. Cool. So you figured that out, and you kind of, it sounds like you get a little formula for yourself, right? You're like, I get this now. Now it's just about, I get to do the stuff I like, which is the people. Right. So what challenges came up then as you kind of got settled in?
Boredom, actually.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So, I say that because when I first started, I just came in as what we call a recruiter. So I was just helping two people fill positions. I wasn't talking to clients right off the bat. I was just getting used to the business. Right. Mm-hmm. And so it wasn't boredom right from the beginning, but it did. Once you got over the 3 or 4 week hump, you're like, oh, here we go again. Like, and then finally, like, we just decided it was time to start making, phone calls and sales. And so that kind of changed the whole world. Now, the one big piece for me was, though, as even, after that 2 or 3 week, 4 week time frame, all the management and leadership tasks came over to me as well, which is what I've always excelled in leading a team and things like that. I mean, a team of 1, which is what I have now at this moment, to a team of 150 if I'm in a retail grocery store. And so it didn't matter to me, but as long as I led the team, that everything was different. Every day was different. And man, I tell you, recruiting and human capital, as my mother always put it, is one heck of a roller coaster.
Yeah, because you're dealing with people, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
And you'll have a down day. You'll have really up. It's a total roller coaster.
Too many people leave their life up to fate and wander aimlessly inside a directionless story. It robs us of meaning and stifles our productivity. But fate is a terrible writer. Letting fate guide your day is like trying to write a best-selling novel by pouring alphabet soup on a counter. It's never going to turn out good. Do you struggle to know what to focus on each day? Do you find yourself setting goals but never achieving them? Have you struggled to find a daily routine that you can actually stick with? We get it. We have tried lots of ways to plan our lives too. This course is the one you've been waiting for. It will help you cast a vision for your life that is exciting and will keep you on track daily so you can actually achieve it. It's time to take back control of our lives and create a life full of direction and meaning. It's time to become a hero on a mission. This course will help you cast a vision for your life and will keep you on track so you actually achieve it. Click below to join us for a workshop and become a hero on a mission.
Now that we've, put the calendar in on 2020, and then 2021's got its own new sets of challenges here we're dealing with. What's the thing that scares you about 2021? Maybe not scares you, but seems like a worthy challenge to you.
It's an uphill battle only because still recruiting in hotels and restaurants, right? But as we know, travel has not returned. And so a lot of companies are just saying we don't need the help right now. When we post a job, we get 250 resumes.
Right.
I say, well, you do need the help because 250 resumes is a lot and it's going to take a lot of time. But the challenge of going into different industries and targeting different markets and things like that, because it's not something we've done in the past.
Mm-hmm.
But the verticals that we handle in hotels and restaurants, HR training, which is my background, sales, which we've handled many sales roles, marketing, stuff like that. We've done all those positions in hotels. So now we're just going to take them outside of hotels.
Right. So new verticals, kind of oversaturated candidate market, maybe
right now. Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah.
So is there anything that you've been telling yourself you think that's gotten in your way? How have you been getting in your own way?
I think I've gotten in my own way just because of the way my mind works. So I always, you coming from an accountability group with Jake and, a lot of them, I'm a creative person. So when I look back on it, like I have an idea here, I have an idea. I'm an ideation guy. So I have ideas flying all over the place. And I might try an idea or bounce an idea. And so I think the challenge is the focus part of it is not like if I get an idea and I'll have it out, but I write it down in my journal and I'll revisit it later, as opposed to thinking, if I get that idea at 10 o'clock at night, like I'm going to think about it for the next 2 hours. I'm going to Google it. I'm going to do all, but I've learned to write it down and I'm starting to get better at it so that I can revisit it. That's the challenge, is staying focused on things that are at hand as opposed to how things can change in the future.
Right. So that the focus on the priorities versus the fun stuff.
Yeah.
Because I think that's where you and I probably connected some too, is because I'm an ideation guy as well. I love ideas, love to explore ideas, like to talk about ideas, love to see other people do ideas. It's super fascinating and fun. And so if you said, getting through 2020 and you sat down and you had somebody was going to come take your job, right? You were about to say, okay, I'm just going to be the president. I'm going to oversee. You come take my job. What's the one thing you would tell them to do differently than you did this past year?
Well, this past year was tough, but
big one. It's a big one.
Yeah, no, I would basically tell them just to stay focused and continue to pick up the phone. I mean, it's not that I didn't, but I guess the sales world needs people down the road. And so the relationships need to be built, but people have a short memory. And so if you are working with a company or a person and you don't get back to them in 4 days, 5 days, they might move on to someone else. Right. And so, I've always brought in to my people that no email goes unanswered, no phone call or text message goes unanswered. Even if they tell you go fly a kite, thank you. My kite's going to be red, basically. Right. Yeah. I never leave anything unanswered. And so that is probably one of the biggest things is, for people, is to make sure that they know that. And that's what I would tell them. Just stay on the phones as much as you can and keep them, focused.
Yeah. And close those loops. Like you said, I love that. That's, I forget I meant to as well. I love it.
Yeah. And, like you said, you close the loops because it might not be right now. And here's what the interesting piece is. In the hospitality industry, there was a point where 7 million people were laid off. I think they're down to about half that now, but somewhere around 12 to 15% have left and gone in other industries. And so if we left the loop open, we probably would not get into those industries with the people we used to work with. Oh, yeah. We want to make sure that the loops are always closed. And, I have a list of people that I try to text monthly and just it personally, just to say, hey, how's life? And it isn't even about the sales piece. And, how their family's going and stuff like that, because that long-term relationship building is, what we're here for. It's about people.
You heard it here first, people. Relationships first. Do the follow-up. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Cool. Well, John, where can people find you? Where can they, if they want to work with you? What's a good place to find you?
LinkedIn at John Carpenter, or if you type in Hire People Better, it'll come up. New website comes on Monday, 2/22, which is hirepeoplebetter.com. And, that's about it. I mean, email is john@hirepeoplebetter.com. So
yeah, easy to find you. I love
easy to remember.
Yeah. Well, cool. We'll put all that stuff down in the notes below. And if you're listening to this, but hit up the profile and you'll see where all his information is there, so you can get a hold of him. So John, thanks for joining us today. And, we always go out in style. So
yeah.
You ready to dance?
Yeah. Hold on one second. I got to get prepared, right? I got to do it. No, I'm good.
Okay. Let's go.
Woo! Jake, that was solid. Thank you for bringing in John to our sphere, to our friends and our audience. That was really great. But guys, there's only 2 more weeks of this season left. We've only got 2 more. And what are we doing for season 2, Jake? What's coming?
Yeah, we're going to try and do our very best to give away some of our tip-top stuff so that you don't have to come onto our website and get all involved with all the stuff. You can just tune right in here and you can learn the 8 steps that we bring every client through that does our growth plan. We want to share all that with you, just so if you're building a business or if you're working for a business that you want to see grow, We're going to put it right out on a platter for you here, one episode at a time, the 8 pieces of the growth plan that we teach and use with our clients each time we engage.
And it's only 8 episodes. So our season 2 is going to be a micro season, but packed full of great stuff for you and your team. So make sure you stick around with us. We're already producing it. It's going really well. And it's coming to you in just a few weeks. So thank you again for joining us. If you follow on YouTube, hit that little bell, subscribe to our channel. And we believe when a business leader aligns their team with their message, they become unstoppable.